Ladies and gentlemen, many years ago when our francophone CBC used to show NFL games, translated, of course, on Sunday afternoons, 15-second delay on the translation, we'd always enjoy a game involving Joe Ferguson and the great O.J. Simpson with Buffalo. Now, 1976 was a rough start to the year, which led to disaster for the end of the campaign for the Bills. But today we're going to be talking about the machinations of the 76 season. I think it all came down to the fact that both of us got very confused. The Bills were playing, I think, week 7, and my father was expecting to see Joe Ferguson play for the Bills. Ferguson was a very strong quarterback in that era, but eventually he was injured that year and replaced by somebody called Gary Marangi. And Gary ended up that year being the worst full-time quarterback in NFL history. So we're going to talk about the machinations of the 76 season. Believe it or not, the great Lou Saban, who coached, up until he was 80, this was his last NFL games some years after he coached Buffalo to 2 AFL titles in their golden era of the mid-1960s. Now, the 76 season was the Bills' 7th season in the NFL and the 17 overall. It was trouble from the start as the team was in a contract dispute with the running back O.J., who had been demanding a trade before finally agreeing to a 3-year, $2.5 million contract. Now, this was in the Reggie Jackson money area, even before Jackson went to the Yankees. Now, the Bills started the season 2-2 before losing their final 10 games of the campaign. Joe Ferguson only started the first 7 games before being sidelined for the season with a back injury. Now, Gary Marangi started Buffalo's final 7 games, going 0-7. Now, fullback Jim Braxton injured his knee in the Bills' season opener and was lost for the season. And despite that, Simpson still led the NFL in rushing in 76, even without Jim's great blocks. Now, like I said, Bills head coach Lou Saban resigned after the 5th game of the campaign, with the Bills struggling at 2-3. Offensive line coach Jim Ringo, who knew more about offensive lines more than any other player in history, but didn't know much about coaching the whole team. He took over, but could not win a game for the rest of the year. So, again, he went 0-9 under his tutelage. The lowest point of the season is when O.J. Simpson was ejected from a game for getting to a fight with the New England Patriots defensive end, Mel Lunsford. Lunsford was also ejected from the game, and unfortunately, in a bad decision, neither player was fined or suspended by the league. You pretty well figure, OJ versus a Patriot, it's not going to help anybody in the standings if the players get, knocked out. Now, before the 1976 season, Buffalo had some rotten go. They lost Ahmad Rashad and J.D. Hill, and defensive lineman Earl Edwards, Walt Podolski, and Pat Toomey. Although they had an okay draft, it didn't work out. Now, the Bills' 76 draft produced 4 longtime starters with their first 4 picks. First-round pick Marco Clark played 7 years for the Bills. Offensive guard Kenny Jones played for the Bills for 11 years, while offensive tackle Joe Devlin played every game of his 14 career with the Bills, playing in all 191 regular season contests until his retirement after the 89 campaign. Now, defensive end Ben Williams played for the Bills for 10 years. He was a Pro Bowler and a second-team All-Pro for 1982. Now, getting Marangi again took over for Ferguson, did terribly. Running backs OJ was taking most of the snaps, as we say, and that's really all what they had. Now, after 2 big losses to Miami and Houston, they bet Tampa Bay 14-9 and the Chiefs 15-17 to go 2-2. But from there, ladies and gentlemen, it was the regular season. Now, the idea about the situation with the Bills, they had a really rough schedule that year, ladies and gentlemen. because in the division they're playing, again, the Jets, the Colts, the Patriots, and the Dolphins, and, they've been rough. But the losses piled up after October 10th, giving up 17, 31, 26, 19, 20, 17, 34, 27, 45, and at the end, 58 points in Baltimore. Now, again, the idea about the Bills that year, again, it was basically mostly dependent on OJ. But Morangi, I want to talk a little bit about Morangi. It's kind of weird. The native of Rockville Center has kind of become a folk hero through the years, mostly because he played for the Boston College Eagles before he made it to the Bills. Now, the good news is the first pass he ever threw in the NFL was a touchdown to J.D. Hill in a game against the Dolphins in 1974. Now, at Boston College, between 71 and 73, he completed 235 of 447 passes for 2,739 yards, including 23 touchdowns. Although Boston College was 20-13 due to Morangi's tenure, including a 9-2 sophomore season, the Eagles never made it to a bowl game. But in the current system, I think he would have no problem with that. Now, he was a late draft pick of Buffalo, third round, 17th overall. Backup quarterback in 74 behind Ferguson. He appeared in 3 games. Now, in 75, as a backup to Ferguson again, 13 of 33. Now, when Ferguson went down in 76, he was leading all quarterbacks in most statistical categories going to the 7th game against the Patriots. Now, that back injury is sidelined him for the season, and Morangi replaced him and finished the season, sitting down, completing only 82 of 232 passes for 39.3%, for 988 yards, 7 touchdowns, and 16 picks. His 35.3 completion percentage is the worst all-time completion in the season, minimum 200 attempts. But can you imagine in the modern era now, the quarterbacks can complete 82 passes in 2 weeks. Now, Morangi is currently a dean of Pasco Medford High School in Medford, New York, where he's currently the head football coach. Prior to that, he was the quarterback coach at Conecuh High School and also defensive coordinator at Shashim High School East. In 2013, he was named the New York Jets Tri-State Area Coach of the Week after a 31-7 victory over Floyd. Now, as for Saban, again, big in the AFL, but as a coach, he was everywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, are you sitting down? Okay? He played with Cleveland between 46 and 49, decided to go to coaching 1950. Head coach at Cass Tech, 50-52. Assistant at Washington, 53-54. Head coach Northwestern, 55. Head coach Western Illinois, 57-59. Then with the Patriots, the original coach, 60-61. The Bills, 62-65. Maryland Terrapins, 1976. Then the Broncos, 67-71. Then the Bills, 72-76. Jumped to the Miami, Florida squad, 77-78. Head coach at Army in 79. Head coach of UCF, 83-84. Head coach at Martin County High School of Florida, 87-88. South Fork High School of Florida, 88 as well. Georgetown High School, South Carolina, 89. Middle Georgia Heat Wave in 1990. Penn State, he was a coach in 91. Peru State, excuse me. Tampa Bay Storm, 1992. Milwaukee Mustangs, 94. Board Arena. Sonny Canton, 95-2000. And Chowan in 2001 and 2002. Now again, 2-time AFL champion and coach of the year with the Bills. Buffalo Bills Hall of Fame as well. Head coaching record, NFL, 95-99-7. And AFL, NFL, 97-101-7. College, 60-83-4. Junior college, 34-16. So again, OJ, Morangi, Ferguson, Saban. Again, the leadership was there, but my God, terrible decision. He could have He could have went to CFL and got a quarterback. I mean, somebody like a Tom Clements or Similar, even Sonny Wade with Montreal. That's a shout out my good friend Alan Globinski. But Morangi had no idea how to be an NFL quarterback. Seems like a nice guy, but you can't you can't get a spear carrier to run an army. That's what I'm saying. But Bills fans point back to that season to say they really had a good chance to make the playoffs that year, but Ferguson was fragile at times, and that really it paid off because he was like John Elway, but he didn't have the mobility of Elway. But Joe Ferguson, one of the most underrated quarterbacks I ever saw, and I still have an affection for him because it took a while for the Bills to rebuild, and he held down the fort before Jim Kelly arrived. So ladies and gentlemen, if you like what we're doing here, give us a like, comment, or subscribe, and don't forget, if you're going to do anything, go deep. Have a good day. Bye.